Last month I attended the official opening of the Migrant Workers Centre at the Victorian Trades Hall in Carlton. The centre was established after continued calls from the migrant working community about their exploitation in the workforce. The Migrant Workers Centre was established to assist and help migrant workers understand their employment rights and empower them to enforce them. Migrant workers face language and cultural barriers, precarious employment arrangements and are incredibly vulnerable to unscrupulous employers. Some of the horrific conditions they have to face include employers stealing wages, unsafe working conditions, being forced to work long hours without a break, and threats and intimidation and bullying. On that night, I got the opportunity to meet some of these workers and hear their stories. The disturbing accounts of exploitation by labour hire companies was an all too familiar story. One such worker, cleaner Elisa Hurd, told of her experiences, poor treatment and intimidation by her employer. She spoke of no proper training for her in her role and that wage theft was a common occurrence for her and other migrant workers who were treated differently from the other employees. Elisa eventually was fortunate, as she says, to meet a union organiser from United Voice who assisted her and empowered her to speak out against her employer. Elisa soon discovered that she had rights and learned to fight for them and is now helping other migrant workers to do the same. Speaker, I want to thank the Andrews Labor Government and Robin Scott, the Victorian Minister for Multiculturalism, for funding this much-needed resource for migrant workers, Luke Hilakari, Secretary of the Victorian Trades Hall, and inaugural Chair George Lakakis for initiating and supporting the Migrant Workers Centre. I also want to take this opportunity this evening to congratulate some amazing women in my electorate who have been recognised for their service to our local community. I want to congratulate Helena Gillies, the Chair of Brite Services, who received a Lifetime Award at the Victorian Disability Awards for her unwavering support of people with disability. I have known Helena for close to 20 years and am very familiar with the enormous contribution she has made to the community in the northwest of Melbourne, particularly in support of people with disabilities and their families. While Helena has devoted many volunteer hours and expertise to a range of community organisations within the fields of health, education, rehabilitation and employment, it is her more than 20 years of service to Brite Services and Brite Industries that stand out the most. Brite has become a well-known and highly regarded organisation within my electorate of Cornwall, delivering a supported employment service and vocational training to people with disabilities. The remarkable success and growth of this enterprise is largely due to the passion and dedication of its volunteer board of directors over the years, and in particular to the drive and leadership of Helena Gillies. And another commemoration for Brite Services teaching staff speaker goes to Patricia Nisiforo, who received a 2018 Victorian Learn Local Awards for the continued work she has done since completing the introduction to catering courses at Brite. And of course, as I stand here in this chamber tonight, back home in my home state of Melbourne and at Government House, Eugenia Pavlopoulou, senior journalist at Neos Cosmos, is accepting a Victorian Multicultural Commission Award for Excellence in the Ethnic Media from the Victorian Governor, an award that I can proudly say I nominated her for. Representing a culturally diverse electorate, I know how pivotal ethnic media is and how important it is to my communities. Ethnic media informs and engages Australia's multicultural communities who are vulnerable to isolation and disconnection because of a lack of education, a lack of English language, age and location. It provides a touch point to them to hear news from their homeland, discuss mainstream Australian news in their mother tongue. It's a means to distribute important information about education, employment, health, social services, legal services and other services, which keeps them informed, and in particular for newer migrants and refugees, ethnic media assists for a smoother integration process. For almost 2 decades, Eugenia Pavlopoulou has committed herself to Melbourne's Greek-speaking community. Firstly as a radio journalist on 3AB in the early 2000s, and now as Neos Cosmos, where she has worked as editor, online editor and senior journalist for the last 16 years. As a bilingual journalist, Eugenia Pavlopoulou has and continues to produce important work that has increased awareness and understanding of multicultural affairs in Victoria and driven change in Melbourne's Greek Australian community at a national level. I want to congratulate Eugenia for the work that she does it is an award that she receives tonight, which is highly deserving.
The member